Hello, thank you very much for taking the time to meet with me today. I'm Eric Martins from IBM's Data and AI team, and I want to talk to you today about some of the capabilities of the watsonx governance solution. It's IBM's brand new platform for monitoring generative models. It also is very capable, has a lot of really cool features for monitoring the more traditional predictive models. But since we're a little short on time today and you had specifically expressed interest in monitoring some of the new generative AI, the LLMs and things like that, I thought we would focus on that today. And so I know time is short, but what we're going to try and do is just kind of go through a look at how watsonx governance handles the model lifecycle. So we're just going to do a kind of mini run through of taking a model through the entire lifecycle. And I'm signed in here to the IBM watsonx homepage. And the first thing that I'm going to do here is to create an AI use case. And so from a governance standpoint, this would be defining a problem that we would like an AI model to solve. And today we're going to be talking about auto insurance. Let's say we are an auto insurance company and we would like to invest in a model that is going to be able to summarize the text on some of the claim reports. Maybe that can help help us turn around and respond to our claims faster, provide good context information for the claim reviewers. And so we'd like to implement a model to do that. And that is going to start with defining the use case for the model. And in the watsonx governance platform, a use case is a way to organize and kind of keep track of all of the different candidate models that are attempting to solve a particular use case. And so I'm just going to go ahead and create a quick use case right here. Apologies, typing live is always fun. So we're going to call this claim summarization. And we'll do summarize auto policy claims. It allows us to choose a risk level to where we think the risks, if we have issues with this model. We're going to pick medium from here. This is something that traditionally a risk officer would do. So we're just going to set that to medium. And we can enter some details here, business purpose, some supporting documentation, a URL, provide some other information here. Really the idea would be that this would be the business unit owner going and submitting this use case and saying, hey, we'd like our models to do this. Can we please have the resources to go forward and pursue this? So in the status, I'm going to put this as ready for use case approval. You can see I can add some tags here. This is for our IBM Knowledge Catalog solution. So we can share this use case with people who need to see this information, but we're just going to skip over that and go ahead and create our use case. Okay, now that the use case is created, it is empty. We don't have anything exciting going in here, but you see that we are starting to track metadata for the use case. And really the point that I would really like to drive home with all of this stuff is that all of this metadata, the monitoring data, all of this is going to be automatically tracked and associated with the models and then surfaced in a way that makes it easy for all of the stakeholders, whether those be business users or risk management professionals or data scientists or AI engineers or the infrastructure team. We want to surface the information that they need in an easy way for them to get to it and understand it so that we really accelerate the time to value for this model. It doesn't get bogged down in approvals and forcing your data scientists to generate reports and sending off those reports and through these manual processes and a lot of manual effort that was required to get this model from here where we're in the conceptual phase all the way up through the deployment and use in a production environment. We want to remove as many of the barriers as we can for that. And so we're going to automatically collect metadata. We're going to try and organize these in a way that makes sense. And that's really one of the powerful things about this solution. So now we've got our AI use case right now. And let's say that that's gone ahead and been approved. We can change the status here. Just going to skip over that for now, know that that's available. So we're going to have some model developers go ahead and work on the model. And they're going to do that in a project in watsonx. And projects are something that we've had in Watson Studio for a long time and carried over into the watsonx solution. And it's just a way for people to collaborate on data science projects. It makes it easy for me to drag and drop data in here. It's fully managed access, so I can add collaborators. I can associate this with different services. I can connect it to databases, data services. I can create Python notebooks in here, auto AI experiments, a whole host of tools in here that we're not really going to have time. Just know that this is a centralized place for people to come and collaborate on data science projects. And in this particular project, we have a prompt template for a large language model that is doing claim summarization. And if you want to learn more about how that's developed, we can come back and talk about watsonx.ai and some of the foundation models and prompt engineering and prompt tuning and all of the capabilities we have there. But let's just go ahead and start with this particular model right here. And I'm going to accept some of this, and we're just going to skip the tour for now. So this is just a quick look at the model. You can see I've got some information here about some of the safe prompt templates. This is just what the model is going to look like. And let's go back and head back to the claim summary. And so go ahead and unlock that. Let's take a look at the AI fact sheet for the model. And what fact sheets are is fact sheets allow you to track all of the metadata and monitoring data and keep it associated with that particular model. Again, we want to remove, lower the friction, make the information that people need available to them as easily as possible. And fact sheets are doing that. I think the best analogy that I've heard for fact sheets is it's like a nutrition label for the model. It's going to tell you all the different things that are in it. So if we take a look at what's already existing for this model, we see we have the foundation model that was built from. We have some information on the prompt template, some of the parameters. We have here no evaluations have been run yet, and we have an opportunity to add some attachments. So very basic information on the model, but again, it's a start. And what we want to do is we want to start tracking this model in an AI use case. So this is going to allow us to start generating metrics for the model, getting more information on it once we start that tracking. So this would be the development team having gone ahead, developed a model and said, okay, we have this candidate model. We would like to start kind of putting it forward for evaluation, start tracking it. And so I can associate it with that use case that I defined earlier, which was that claim summarization use case. So now it will be included in there. And we're just going to take the default approach. You can define your own custom approaches for the different levels the model has, whether it's experimental, close to production. It's fully customizable for whatever requirements, workflows that your organization has. But for right now, we're going to stick with the default. So we've got experimental, stable, or custom. We're going to leave it at experimental, the version number. You can see I can add some comments. I can change the version number, and we're going to go ahead and hit track asset right there. And let's get this tracking started. Okay, so now this is being tracked in an AI use case, and you can see I've got some more information down here now. I have the stage of the life cycle that it's in, and it is in the develop stage, which is fantastic. And if I head back over to my AI use case, and take a look at the life cycle, I've got an entry now. I've got my insurance claim summarization model that is showing it is in the developed phase of the life cycle. And if I click through here, I can get the same information of the model. Again, all the information of the model being centrally tracked, automatically organized and collated so that people can get at the information as they need to. Okay, so let's go back to that project. And what we're going to do next is we are going to deploy that model so that we can go ahead and start testing it and evaluating it. So we are going to promote this model to a deployment space. And a deployment space is a watsonx concept that it's a way to organize models and any data that goes with the model. So if that is database connections for like a batch processing model, the models themselves, it's a central place to organize all of the things that go around the model, and then you can actually create deployments from the deployment space. So we don't have any deployment spaces set up, so we're just going to go ahead and create one. I'm going to call this claim summarization test, just to kind of note that we're in the testing phase for this model. We're going to give it a machine learning service, and now we get to pick a deployment stage. And I'm going to say we're going to put this as we're in the testing stage here. And we're going to go ahead and create that deployment space. All right, so our space is created, and so we're going to promote our model to the space. I'm going to click promote right there, and we're going to go to the space after we promote it. Okay, and now we are in our deployment space yet, and we don't actually have a deployment of the model. So I'm going to create a deployment, and what that is going to allow me to do is allow me to access the model via REST API. So we'll just call this claim summary test deployment, and go ahead and create a deployment for it. Okay, and so that model deployed very quickly. If I click on this here, get some more information. So there's an API reference. I've got a direct link. This is because I've deployed it now. I've created a deployment. I have a code snippet for accessing the model. Right now it's curl. Down the road there'll be Python, Node.js, other ways to do that. But I've got some endpoints, some streaming endpoints. I can test the model here. I can also perform some evaluations, which we are going to do in just a minute. But let's go ahead and activate the monitoring so we can perform those evaluations. Right now, these are the dimensions that we are able to evaluate for this particular model. And so we're going to do generative AI quality, and you can see it provides a lot of different quality metrics, as well as hateful, aggressive, and profane speech, and personal identifiable information. All those kind of metrics are all included in there. So I'm going to enable that. And from here, I can actually drag and drop an evaluation file. So let me go ahead and do that. Dropped it right there. And there's two fields in here. There's the claim and the summary. So this is an evaluation file. It's got 10 records in it, and this is going to allow us to evaluate our model. And I'm going to just go ahead and click evaluate, and it's going to go ahead and run an evaluation on my model. Okay, so the evaluation is finished, and now we have a bunch of different metrics that have been gathered for our model. You can see the different ones here, whether they violated some of the basic thresholds that we've got, and we can fully configure those thresholds to tell what violations are. We just went ahead and used the default value. We can absolutely set the different levels for the violations. These are a lot of the different quality metrics for this type of text summarization model. I'm not going to get into what these are, but if you want some more information, I'm very happy to provide that. There's also a lot provided in the documentation for some of these tools as to what exactly these are measuring. But we want to come down here and take a look at this. We were scanning for personal identifiable information, as well as hateful, aggressive, and profane speech. These are two major concerns that people are having with turning some of their business processes over to models. They want to make sure that none of that PII is leaking through the model and being provided to users, or if users are providing that it is not being in turn leaked back out to other users. Also, we want to make sure that we stay away from any kind of racist, profane, hateful kind of speech. And then again, readability, to make sure that our model is being coherent and that it is readable in its output. Over here, we've got some model health metrics, and this is going to tell us about the throughput of the model. A lot of concerns with using some of these models is how much compute is it taking, right? How many resources is it using? A lot of these can be very compute intensive. So this provides us a way to do that with throughput, latency, lets us know token count, gives us a good picture into how the model is doing. And if you look, I can click into any of these and get different metrics. So I total input, medium input, token count. Here I can see the scoring requests. See, there was only 10 in that particular evaluation set, but this is actually tracking over time. And so if we keep this model deployed and put it in a production space, this will build up the graph over time. As results come into the model, they will automatically be tracked here in the scoring requests. So we've got throughput, latency, And the records of these, you can see a lot of statistics being generated for the model health. A lot of this would be useful for infrastructure teams to make sure that the model is, accessible to the applications that need it, that it's not having particularly high latency. It provides good monitoring for that. We go back over here. This is a different view of the quality metrics. Again, this is over time. We can take a look at the different scores that we generated when we did the evaluation of the model. PII, hate speech, sentence similarity. These are all of the metrics that got generated. And if we want to take a look, we can go now look at the AI fact sheet. And this is the fact sheet for the deployment itself, not necessarily the overall model, but we do have all of the evaluation results have now been written to that fact sheet. And you see we had our quality metrics, we've got our model health metrics, and we can go actually back here and view the fact sheet itself. And if you'll notice, we're now in the validate section of the model lifecycle because we have promoted the model to a space, we've started validating it, we've started monitoring it, we've started gathering metrics on it. So it's moved forward in the space. If I went over and took a look at the use case, it would show there, which we'll do in a second. But now we're back to the same fact sheet, which has, again, all the information about the model, the templates, the parameters. But now we have in our evaluation section, we have the results of that evaluation. And again, this is a great way to gather the metrics for the model and centralize that information so that the decision makers can decide whether or not this model meets the minimum standards for actually deploying it and rolling it out to production. So instead of running our tests and then having our data scientists go and draw up a report and email that or however else, we've automatically gathered that information, we've stored it in a fact sheet in a way that's cataloged, and we can provide access to anyone who needs it so they can just come out and see that model. And as you can see, it's presented in a nice way. It's very readable. It's very easy for people who are maybe not super familiar with some of these terms to get some information on the model. And so let's go actually take a look over in the use case that is tracking this model. So if we were a business user or risk management professional who just wanted a quick snapshot into how's this claim summarization effort going, I could come out and take a look at the lifecycle portion of the use case, and I could see, oh, okay, we have a model that's been deployed and it has been evaluated. We've got this red badge here because, as you remember from the evaluation, some of those metrics were worse than the thresholds that had been set. So you come out here and see what are the status of the models. And if we had a couple different candidate models, they would all show as entries here. And we can, again, click through and immediately take a look and see, okay, here's our deployment, and we get those evaluation metrics. So again, provides a great way for people to really collaborate with all of the different stakeholders in the organization to make sure that they get the data that they need when they need it. And then if we wanted to go ahead and progress this model to the operate, what we would do is we'd create a production deployment space, promote that model to the production deployment space, and then it would show up in the operate section of the model lifecycle, and we could continue gathering metrics as the model was out and approved and in production. Those metrics would automatically be gathered. Would automatically be gathered. The evaluations would automatically run, and we would get real-time tracking of exactly how that model is performing, including the model health with the throughput and the latency, as well as the quality monitors and the monitors for hate speech and personal identifiable information that we looked at earlier. So I know we're running a little bit short on time. I want to thank you very much for having me out here today. Hopefully this gave you a good overview of what it is like to track and govern a model all the way through with the watsonx governance solution. If you have more questions, please feel free to reach out. I'd also love to schedule maybe a proof of concept demo or get back out and talk to you some more about our capabilities. Thanks, and have a fantastic day.